heart. So,
Okay.
the major ones as how I
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah. Are you getting
YouTube.
on YouTube? Are you putting YouTube? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's so they can find you out there, and basically we're just having to look for you by your name, the Katie Black Show or Katie Black, and
Yes, ma'am.
that's pretty good. What got you like thinking podcast? I mean, because you're as I see it, you're in the early stages of it compared to so many people here that since 2020, as I call it, the when people got bored at home, couldn't leave, and started podcasting.
No, yeah, 100%. So how I got into it, and I kind of again kind of going back into my journal and my brain, it's kind of a fever dream. But essentially I went to school for multimedia journalism and mass communications and was always a TV journalism nut. But when I went to graduate like over 15 years ago, the feedback was even from our professors at the time, you might have just gone here to become a journalist or an editor or a camera person, but now with the market, you've got to be able to do it all. As they say, like a one-man band. And that freaked me out. Um, because I was just the journalist, the interviewer. I, that was scary to me. And I did have an internship at a local paper in Florida where I saw kind of everyone close up shop.
Yeah.
And it was just very frightening to me. So essentially, I went down this other path that I joke even still now. Um, Barbie. I've been Barbie, a lot of jobs, not like a solid career, but to get into how did I got into podcasting, because I could go on and on. I still had this drive to talk to people and learn people's stories. And so there was this new on this scene, in my neck of the woods, podcasting, and just thought, let me take a jab at it. Let me try this. Um, and just self-taught myself how to edit and all those things and just kind of started from there.
No, you got what's in common kind of with Neil there, because Neil got started back around 2013. Is that right, Neil?
I mean, so it's been 15 years. So yeah.
Yeah.
And what I learned in it was podcasting was a very hard thing to go. So I started in the days of Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah.
And also had a college radio station show that was then hired a syndicator to get syndicated on all these radio stations, which I'm still on today. But what I've learned in this process is it's just got to keep going. And I'm a more variety show. Or Katie, are you a variety show, or you really have a theme to your show?
That's a great question, and I've been trying to practice it through for years. Um, I think I'm just a little bit of everything. I know that doesn't really answer your question, but I used to tell people that I was Oprah plus MTV, the old school Oprah of the daytime television, meaning I could have really serious topic on that day or really serious guest, and then the next day we're talking about crazy pop culture and what's going on with Britney Spears.
Okay. How many shows do you do a week?
I try to do one show a week.
One
Right
show.
now, since I'm merging, it's a little unique that I'm moving one show over to the other.
Okay.
Um, but I'm trying to do one a week.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
you're like combining the two
Yeah.
shows. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not bad. I want to ask you something. What kind of equipment do you use, just as far as for your like? Because people say a lot of different kinds of things, and I mean, YouTube's full of ideas.
I don't really have a lightning bolt question. I've just been a real Mac person.
Yeah.
So just my computer, for a while there, I was just using the recorder on your phone to record people on the street or if I was with someone. So just a really basic set. And then obviously Zoom, obviously the COVID kind of reintroduced the camera aspect, and then that was a real easy way to just have an automatic recording of the episode there. So just, the basics, if you will.
Yeah, a
All right.
lot of people are going in a deeper fashion. I use a microphone that finally I did get a microphone because I was like all those days I liked having the lav mic or something. I don't want to be a podcaster. Now it's cool to be a podcaster. Go figure when it wasn't cool. It's cool to be a radio host or a TV host, which I'm both. And I'm like, okay, so I got this gamer mic, but because I've done so many shows, I have a voice that I could just roll with any type of mic, and I don't need to have headsets. I think that looks stupid. And but I recommend if you anyone else, because they don't have maybe the chops or are used to how can you keep almost the same type of voice throughout a conversation, not going, dialect down, dialect up, dialect this, really staying on a specific role in the communication. That a Shure mic would be good. I think getting a professional camera. I'm using currently, I guess, I think forget which one I'm using right here, but all those things. I have the lighting, cube light. So putting all those things together is the best show. But the bottom line is there are people that record the worst equipment, worst anything, but if they have the greatest content in the world, it doesn't matter. Just get going. Don't compare yourself to somebody else, because you'll see some people are spending so much money in the studio, having their own studio where they go and pay that studio and show up every week, and their numbers aren't very good at all. It's about how do you tell a story in your podcast that intrigues people that they want to learn more. If you're interviewing people and not really asking the right questions, it's just not going to go there. And Jennifer's taking us into this let's learn podcasting from Katie and I, and I'm like, cool. But honestly, I am ranked a top celebrity podcaster, and I didn't have the greatest equipment for years. It's about I went out there and hunted my guests. I went out there and promoted my show for years till it got popular. I'm like, okay, I don't need to anymore. But I need to go back. But what I'm saying is it's about creating content, not giving up as a podcaster, and not looking at the numbers. The numbers are not what you want to look at your first 2 to 3 months. You want to look at consistency showing up in shows, making sure you're publishing every week, and making sure that your guests are promoting it and everyone's promoting it. Then later, put on that marketing juice once you have exactly who your ideal audience is. And those are the most successful podcasters, are the ones that have a niche group, are able to build out that niche group and say, okay, this is the group I'm going with, and I found my tribe. But it doesn't happen overnight. So if someone says today, I want to start a podcast, I'm thinking of starting a podcast, I'd build your community in the next 3 months. Just like if someone says, I'm going to write a book, I'd start building your community right now. Don't start marketing day one once you have the book, once you have the podcast. You got to start now. And that's hard because a lot of people are like, that's content's too much work. Well, that's what it's too much work. I can't do it. I don't have the time. That's why podcasting is the best form of medium to create as much content as possible if you're a business or brand, because you can literally have content forever if you do it right. But if you're saying, so what's going on with the weather, Katie? Or talking about things that are really not clip oriented, that's not going to work. But my question for you, Katie, it was a great question, Jennifer, involving equipment. What makes you keep going as a podcaster? What is the thing? And now how you're kind of differentiating yourself more, but you've been doing it for so long. What keeps you going?
That's a great question. I mean, it really is. I have to marinate just because I feel like it's almost organic to me. And second of all, I feel like I haven't reached my goal, which kind of segues into like, what's my goal? And I interviewed a friend recently, and he called me after, and he's like, literally, he said, "What's the goal here? Like, what are you trying to do?" And I think I am, not to be corny, trying to make a difference, trying to connect with all sorts of different Americans. But I think the other tip is not to like laugh, but like I would like to make some profit from it. I joke.
See, that's where something to talk to me about, because really I made my money later in podcasting and built a business through the podcasting. So I built a service-based business. Now I'm finally making money as a podcaster because people pay to come on my show. So I finally could say it's not because they're paying. Part of that value proposition for my services is my podcast as well. So if I produce your podcast, I am also going to be your co-host and I'm going to shut the hell up, but keep things rolling and make sure you're on the right track. So if you lose points, you have somebody else here to throw at that co-host. And I think a co-host is probably something very important for somebody that doesn't have the chops yet to understand how to carry a conversation. Like you asked me to go record for 60 minutes. Probably I can now. I don't understand these TikTokers that go live and or don't have any feedback except the people in the audience. I can't do that. It doesn't feel for me because I try to be a radio host. I try to keep the conversation always rolling, never have dead air. You know what the FCC rule for dead air is? I think it's like 5 seconds or 3 or 4 seconds of
Yeah.
dead air. And that's why I always try to keep the conversation going. Even though podcasting, we don't have a FCC rule with dead air.
No. But do you have to do a lot of editing with your clips? Would be what my next thing for you, Katie, is to. Do you have to do a lot of editing, or do you try to keep it just raw, like what you got in the interview?
I think somewhere in the middle. I'm really empathetic, so maybe, oh, I don't know if that's gonna offend somebody. I've gone through that whole roller coaster, which I still do. But you know what my thing is just for myself. It's more of an edit of, talking about a TV voice, radio voice, is using the word like. I edit a lot of those out,
Those
which
ums and
I
ahs, yes. And some clients like that, and some clients don't like that. And now the big thing is they want those ums and ahs. And instead, and that is really the new thing. If you listen to the top podcasters, they're not editing any of that stuff out. They're just going raw and putting it out there. So it's a really an interesting. Even you look at Diary of a CEO, some of them that are making millions of dollars a year of their podcast or more.
Hmm.
They're not editing their ums and ahs.
interesting.
None of them. None of them. They're just going flow. Yes, they do in the video some of that editing, maybe cutting room floor, but they want people to have a unique conversation and thing. But that's a great point because I do that for my clips using Descript, taking out all the ums and ahs, even though they've increased their AI pricing by a huge amount of money.
Mm.
Ridiculous what Descript has done to raise the pricing. And I still don't want to go anywhere else because you
Good
get the
stuff.
transcript, you get the edit, you get the long form, and you get the ability also to have all of it in one place. The audio too can be edited right on Descript. You don't have a lot of those one-stop shops, and that's why I stay with them. But that's the point. Now, what don't you like, Katie? You or you have a guest that does that 52 times, you're going to cut it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But even so more, it's more of just even my speech.
So you shouldn't be doing that because you're really good. You sound fantastic. You
Got a good
have the
voice.
chops. You know what you're doing. Stop thinking about that and doing more promoting than putting the time to the editing room. That would be one of my first big things. Secondly, how can I bring in sponsors if you don't have sponsors? You said you want to monetize this and give them an opportunity and think about your platform. Am I building a community in my show that people come always to listen to it, that they're going to take action? Because you could have 50 downloads an episode. I'm not telling whatever it is. And you can get a sponsor, especially if the people who watch and listen to it are going to take action with that sponsor. So that's a big thing. But you have the skills. Trust me, listen even to the best on television today that are on CBS, NBC, ABC. They have ums and ahs. They're not hitting the track perfectly. So natural is the new thing more than ever now because of the evolution of AI. Because an AI podcast can happen. You can cut a script, put it together, and then it'll do it, and it'll sound so professional and so good. Well, people want humanity. So there you go.
Do you write out any kind of stuff before you do, or do you like to just do yours like off the cuff when you're interviewing people?
I always try to have like a kind of a biography or someone, notes of
Yeah.
main points of, if I can find out even just like where they grew up, what did they do before XYZ? So I have bullet points. Initially when I first started, I would write out, oh, I'm gonna ask this, then ask this and this and this. And then I found really when it got going, If I was gonna, I let the person just be organic and maybe we go off down another avenue and and never circle back around to those questions that I asked. So I do notes, but nothing really hardcore.
Right.
I think that you got a great voice for it, without a doubt.
No, you have all the chops to be
Yeah. Yes, she
successful.
does.
The biggest thing is your guest has to make it or your niche has
Mhm.
to make it. Those are the two if you're going podcasting, but I see you as a radio person too. So I would take some of your stuff and reach out to radio stations and see if they'll pick it up. It'll just bring your brand to a higher level. And then people will go ahead and decide, okay, I'll come on your show. Because a lot of celebrities or top guests will not come on a podcast. But if you
Mhm.
tell them I'm on radio, local channel in whatever town, reach out to them. They're looking for programming. So that's where that could be one of the avenues you can go that can really change things.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all looking for programming. They might do a trade off. They might not, and then say, okay, half the sponsors are yours, half the sponsors are mine. But they're looking for that. And you have the skills as an interviewer. You sound great. Now it's about, so who have you had your biggest guest you've interviewed, Katie?
Besides Jennifer,
I wish.
I mean, just right off the top of my head, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people. Ralph Sampson, the basketball player.
Okay, I've had Ralph on, and I'm not going to make it a conversation of what you think of him. But so you interviewed Ralph in person or on
Just through Zoom.
through Zoom? Okay. So Ralph is one of your biggest. Okay. Okay. But what do you think your audience wants most?
Ooh, I think
Of your regular listeners that you know all or that tune in every week, what do you think they love most about the Katie Black Show?
my personality, maybe just even thinking about it now, share more stuff about myself. Yeah,
Yes.
make it yes. And that just came to me, just
But
being more.
what about fitting that in your personality to the guests that you want to bring on? They're going to make it a nice mesh. But also, are you going to niche? Because the niche it, or are you going to go variety? Then you really got to nail big time guests
Mhm.
and let the guests be the big thing that's going to help monetize it.
I think everyone's kind of always been like, what's your audience? And obviously I don't have the analytics to really know my audience, but my core is there's a millennial base somewhere in there, which is me, which is babies born between 1981 and 1996.
Right.
So I've kind of thought about really of recent, like once I kind of merge all these things, really playing into that, the struggles that the generation has experienced, pop cultured, figures that were big during, our era and what have you.
That there you go.
There
So
you go.
that's the thing. But see, the thing is, you already have the experience to turn on the microphone and go.
Mhm.
Now, what you have to do is say, how can I? So, of the audience of the people you have, they have to become the fanatics to tell you what do they want next. By having the name that, it could
Mhm.
be the guest, it could be guest driven. Diary of CEO and all those, some of the other top podcasts are guest driven, while other podcasts are more that personality. So you have to kind of say, where do I fit in on that? I've been around forever. You could have so many more guests and potentially people paying you to come on your show if you produce more shows, because they're all walking for an audience right now. And they know podcasting is the fastest way to get that message out quickly without having to hire a marketing department and go out there and do it. And they're out there every day looking to be on podcasts.
Oh yeah, lots of people.
Lots.
Yeah.
But you got to go and get the numbers and then the niche, and then people are going to say, yes, I'm coming on. But I like that idea. But you also got to ask your audience that's used to listening to you for the last 8 years, do they want to see a change?
Mhm.
It's
No,
all about that audience feedback. I work with one of my clients, NHL Wraparound Podcast, with the former general manager of the New York Rangers, Neil Smith. And when I work with them and I talk to them, because I don't produce their podcast, all I do is I consult with them, and then I've increased their downloads by 7x, I think, or something like that. But what I said to them was who is this audience? And we're
Hmm.
finally figuring out because they're a total NHL podcast. You're not competing with every NHL podcast. You're only competing ones that only talk about the NHL alone and are not going into the variety of things. So that's where a competitor analysis is important as well. And where do I want to go next? But you don't want to tick off your audience because that's the worst way to lose your audience is tick them off.
No, I
What
agree.
do they want?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jennifer, I hope you're getting all these ideas. But again, you're going
I,
true crime.
I'm absorbing them a
But
lot.
true, but
Yeah,
true crime is going to be the end all be all. You're in a right niche.
yeah.
Katie and I don't know how to niche.
Oh,
And
you did it.
and meaning the way that we want to, because we love to talk to everyone and have interesting conversations. That's why you have the skill set as a host.
Hmm.
But if that's why I see radio as a potential avenue for you. Also really finding that guest for the audience you want, but keeping the same style of an interviewer.
Well, I see you guys both as very informative. You're bringing a lot of just new information or different information or a variety of guests
And
out,
you love
and you're
podcasting.
giving people all of that. And so they're riding home in their car or whatever they might be doing, listening on their earphones, and it's like, oh, this is interesting. Well, this is different. And I can see it. It's like, oh, who did Neil have on today? Or, hey, let me see what Katie's got going on today. What's she talking about over there on the Katie Black?
100%, 100%.
And it's like, oh, and especially you're talking about the 80s babies. I was going through college in the 80s and then working, and you were just trying to figure out if you were going to watch Rugrats or not. And
Pretty much. Ren
you
and
know, I mean,
Stimpy.
the Rugrats are the 80s, 90s. It was one of the cartoons that was popular. Everything, but I think it's great that you've got that, and I think it's neat that you jumped into it without, because that's early on. I mean, really, when you're thinking
Yeah,
on getting it in, and you
yeah.
jumped right in with both feet and said, "Hey, I'm going to do this," and then you stuck right in there and just said, "Yeah, I'm loving this," and I mean,
You already have the experience,
yeah,
Katie. The bottom line is some people, I would look at even more how Mel Robbins finally blew up. It's about staying the game, uh, playing the game. And then once you figure out that audience, it's over. You can easily duplicate, triplicate that. But your love of podcasting is the biggest thing. So tell us some of the guests that are coming up in the next couple of weeks in your podcast, or ones that people could have caught up on the topics. That will intrigue people.
Yes, so I'm posting one tonight with Delano Little, who he was here in Charlotte, was did sports television on WBTV for 30 years. Um and so I just talked to him about his experience in Charlotte, how Charlotte's grown, the sports of it all. Charlotte is a sports town.
Right.
And then how once he retired, getting into the restaurant business.
mm,
Um, so that's coming up, but I mean, I just recently on the Katie KB the After Show, I just recently interviewed my friend that is a trainer and works on the brain out in San Diego, and
wow,
just kind of that whole can of worms, with the new year, I think he kind of got into a little bit. Everyone says the beginning of the year, I want to lose weight. And he's like, okay, why? Why do you want to lose weight? And he digs and digs and digs once he gets back, past the vanity of it all and kind of goes into that. And I've struggled with my weight. So that was kind of interesting to hear that it's not really just about the way you look or the size clothes you wear, that it's a lot of habits and just all of that.
Totally.
that's
So
very interesting. And
it's
you stay in a neat group. You've got so much in sports. It's really neat, things that relate to sport.
Yeah, I love it's interesting. I'm not like my dad, which I call kind of a sports encyclopedia, where like in this year, the Yankees did this and all of that. Like I don't have that I don't have that brain wax, but to me, since I'm such a pop culture nut, sports is a huge part of pop culture. Going back to the 90s when I grew up, like Michael Jordan was just everything, even though I didn't understand maybe what a foul was, what, traveling was or whatever. But now, so basically it's interesting for me to be like, what happens when that period of your sportsmanship ends? Like, what do y'all, I mean, obviously I know subconsciously it's a struggle.
Right. Absolutely. No, I mean, this is great stuff. And that's where you should keep going and doing it. But I would recommend instead of doing one show a week, do more
Okay.
and
Like
stop.
three?
I'd say
Yeah,
three.
three,
Or yeah, I
good.
did three. I
Four's
did
better.
three. And
Okay.
then you're going to see that people are going to hear about you. More publicists are going to reach out to you and they're going to know of you because lots of people don't produce a lot of podcasts.
Hmm.
And so, where can people check you out? So, check out some of those podcasts.
Yes, you can find the Katie Black Show and KB The After Show on Apple and Spotify. And you can find me on YouTube, The Katie
There you
Black Show.
All right.
Hey, one
Fabulous.
more thing. Radiate TV. Have you looked at that yet? Because if not, you might want to talk to Neil about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
to get your show on and where you could monetize day one with getting all the people there. So it's an opportunity and you do a lot of the editing. So we'll definitely talk about it. Great segue, Jennifer. But go to your website, jenniferclarkeeskew.com,
Yep.
purchase your book, Becoming
Yep.
Fire. You can get
There
an
we go.
autographed copy right there. And we really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank
That
you so
was the
much.
special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show. See, and Jennifer, you really have your own podcast with me.